African fields of grain are gone in 30 seconds. Locust plague described as biblical catastrophe. Can you imagine? Acres and acres, hundreds and thousands of acres, gone in 30 seconds. And this is a devastation because Africa is already stretched for food. Hollywood gave a movie about stealing cars, starring actor Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie, the title Gone in 60 Seconds, and its fact that car thieves can get away with that, but Hollywood has nothing on locusts infesting swaths of African cropland because they can make a field of food disappear in just 30 seconds. CBC describes the alarm expressed by United Nations about these locust swarms that, quote, are so bad in some parts of Kenya that entire fields of crops are being devoured in as little as 30 seconds. And just a week ago, there were no locusts in some areas of eastern Kenya, including Kitui County. The report says now entire farms have been destroyed. Moses Amondi of the organization called Farm Radio works to bring news to agriculture interests in part of the world. He was interviewed by CBC and he warned of the potential catastrophe. He says, today one farmer told me all of his crops have already been consumed, by the locusts that is. He's affected psychologically to the extent of telling me if worse comes to worse, I'm not going to say what he said. Now the reason being, this is the source of his income. He's been taking his kid to school using farm product. He's been paying bills using farm produce. So according to him, he says, Moses, if this continues, if the government is not coming to act, then I can't go on, he says. Now the farmers are desperate. They have been blowing whistles, pressing motorbike horns, shooting guns and shouting to try and scare the locusts away, but nothing works. Express UK noted biblical scholar Melvin Sandelin pointed to prophecies about the end times. He said, see that you are not troubled, these things must come to pass. But in the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places, he said. Okay, these are the words of our Lord Jesus Christ when they asked him, when is the second coming? So that report cited the locust swarms, okay, as big as a major city that were wreaking havoc in Africa. Experts say it could grow 400 times the size by June, this locust swarm, spreading to Uganda, South Sudan, and further north, threatening the Middle East. Now, of course, Uganda, South Sudan, and Chad are, I think they're the poorest of the countries of Africa. Now, the report continues saying, the popular Christian novelist Joel Rosenberg, who in recent years led trips of evangelical leaders to meet with leaders in the Middle East, said that while he is cautious about saying that prophecies from the Bible are unfolding right now, he takes those forecasts from the Old and New Testament seriously. Previous reports concerning UN warning that the impacted regions of Africa cannot afford another major food shortage, that is. Earlier, there were reports of swarms of billions of insects destroying crops in Kenya, the country's worst outbreak in the past 70 years. Somalia, Ethiopia are also expecting this same problem to come to them. UN humanitarian chief Mark Lowcock said, there is a risk of a catastrophe. Lowcock said that 13 million people already face severe food insecurity, with 10 million of them in places affected by these locusts. Now, a medium-sized swarm of locusts in one day can eat the same amount of food as everybody here in the tri-state area, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. This was explained by Keith Cressman, UN Food and Agriculture Organization Senior Locust Forecasting Officer. He said, so not taking action in time, you can see the consequences. It could get a whole lot worse. UN officials said if immediate action is not taken before more rainfall provides more vegetation for new generations of locusts. 500 times worse, they warned, if unchecked before the dry weather comes. So how can you stop these? There's basically no way of stopping them. The farmers are already using noise and shooting off their guns to scare off these animals, the swarms of locusts. Nothing seems to be working. This is amazing. Well, perhaps one thing they can do is pray and ask forgiveness for their sins. We've seen that help definitely in the past. We've seen that, for example, in the example of the prophet Jonah with the city of Nineveh, when they fasted and prayed for 3 days, and they were saved that way. Anyway, this is on WND, and I'll leave a link below for you. Hopefully it'll stop. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.